Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Theorycraft. Last couple of times we've been looking at Inferno, and we will surely go back and do that because it's going to be played a lot in the future, and there's no reason why we won't continue to learn more stuff on it. But now we're going to take a quick detour into Mirage. Again, thanks to all of those of you who've been sending us clips. Again, you can do that by just emailing contact@roomonfire.tv with the title header just being Theorycraft and whatever the episode number is. So if you make any of this stuff work, in matchmaking, in your rank S games, or whatever you end up playing, try and do it. Send me some footage. I know a couple of pros have been trying some of these things. So I'll try and edit that out and show you how it actually worked out in real life, as opposed to just in theory. But the first thing that we're going to be looking at now is going to be Mirage. Alright, the first trick that we're going to be looking at is one in which the scenario is a one-on-one or a one-on-two. You're on the T side, and the bomb is down on the A-bomb side, and it has to be a plant that you can actually see the defuse happening from Tetris. So that's the really important part here. If the bomb is down somewhere else where you can't be seeing it from Tetris, then there's no point in trying this trick out. But let's say you can make this work. So the bomb is down, and you're up here, and you've saved the smoke grenade. If you aim at the center of this cinder block or whatever it is, the box, just right as shown here, as soon as you do that, it's going to fall down in between the crevice. Now, if you slowly walk forward, just hold down your walk button and then slowly inch forward, you're going to suddenly pop out of the smoke. Now, you're going to be very hard to spot from the other side. People looking dead at it, especially if they got an AWP, they can obviously see it, but if they've just got a rifle or something, it's not going to be all that easy. You can also just crouch into it instead of standing up. You just sort of, walk into it as you're crouched, and then once you get onto the platform, you can tell on the minimap in the corner once you're there, you just stand up, and then you're pretty much going to appear out of nowhere. Sure, from the other side, that smoke will look pretty suspicious, and people will think, oh, hey, what's going on? Why is there smoke up there suddenly? And maybe they just try and pre-fire it, and then that's bad luck to you. But I think it's a trick that could be used in sort of different scenarios, and it could be fun to see it. So I'd love you guys to try it. Bit of a matchmaking trick. I think it has more of a chance to work in matchmaking than it does in a professional game, but I still would like to see it used. The next trick that we're going to be taking a look at is one that plays itself out from CT spawn, which is a very common position for people to hold when they're defending the A-bomb side. But the most common way to have to give up that position is if the standard smoke goes down, standard T execute, smokes off CT spawn. Now, people do sometimes try and jump onto the box, but I would like for people to try a slightly different version here. So you line yourself up with the box that's right here, and you look up to the ticket booth. There's a little piece of texture that's very easy to spot. You underhand throw that grenade in there, and it's going to land inside the actual ticket booth. Once you're there, now this is actually the tricky part of the smoke. Once this happens, you have to jump up on the side of it and then walk forward and then jump again and crouch. And those are sort of, you have to do all this in the smoke. So navigating that smoke could be a bit tricky, so it's worth trying. Don't just watch the video and then try it live in a game. Try this in an offline server so that you know what you're doing before it happens. But it's not that difficult once you get a hang of it. Now, once you're up here, just like with the other smoke that happens on the Tetris block, you are now very hard to spot if you're standing up. If you're crouched, you can't be seen at all. If you're standing up, you've got a pretty good shot at anyone coming in from slope or even from apartments, and I think it's worth doing. And this is actually slightly better because when they come in from the T side, they're going to see their own smoke, and they will obviously see that yours is sort of there as well, but they won't know what's happening. It's very unlikely, I think, that they will guess that there's some sort of trick going on unless they've somehow ran into it before they've seen this video, but let's hope they haven't. So definitely try that out. I think that's a fun trick. Maybe a little bit hard to pull off because of the walking in through the smoke, but should give you a pretty good angle. Another trick that actually goes into the same bomb site here, and again has to do with smokes, is sort of of a similar nature, in fact. So we'll just do all three in this one video just to show you guys some different potential positions. Now, if people are holding by what is often referred to as the firebox, you will see that they're holding sort of towards apartments, they're holding towards slopes sometimes, and also, but maybe not so much towards connector. Now, again, if the same strat comes through, where the terrorists smoke off jungle, they smoke off CT spawn, and now you're in this position. Maybe you have a friend in Tetris or Sandwich or Get Right or whatever, and you have a friend in Shadow maybe, but regardless, you need to stay alive, and you need to do something about this position. And it's not easy to play. Once they come out, you're going to be weirdly sandwiched in behind this box. So a way to deal with that is to just sort of stand at the edge of it. It doesn't have to be very precise. Just stand at the edge of it, line up with this part of the floor, and just underhand throw that grenade in there. Now that's going to make sure you can't be spotted from slope at all. Now you walk up onto the bench and up onto the trash bin, and you have a very, very clear line of sight towards the apartments where people very often come out. And they are going to have a very hard time seeing you on the other side. You have a pretty clear view of them. They can see you if they sort of walk straight out. Again, with the AWP, it's much easier. With just a rifle, it's very hard to spot someone being there. So play around with that for a bit. And yeah, I think it's an interesting way as opposed to just waiting behind the box until they corner you and sandwich you in there. So I think that's a potential way to get out of that position. Now, the next trick that we're going to be taking a look at is a bit of an adventurous one that I am actually not sure if has been used already in competitive play. I spoke to Dazed, I think, and he said he felt like he'd seen it before. I'm not sure, so I'm going to put it in anyway. If someone else already came up with it, then credit to them. I'll make up for it another time, I'm sure. This involves climbing into the B hallways and having one of your teammates sort of edge their way out the window, the first window. So they have to be just on the edge of it. It's not that difficult. Now you're standing behind on the platform and you make a jump that goes around and you land in the window behind them. So now you're both sat there on the windowsill, just right at the edge. And you jump up on your teammate's head and go a bit further to the right. So you're strafing out. Now you're looking in through the barred window and all the way into the B hallways. And this is very tricky because they actually cannot see you. Like, they can't see your teammate when they're coming in. They can obviously see you, but you're going to be weirdly out in the middle of nowhere and very hard to spot. So that's the idea, and it's a weird gimmick. But again, if you're just playing an eco round, you know, you have a deagle or a 5-7 or something, and they are a bit careless, then I think that's a fun way to maybe try and get a kill. So test that out for me. I would love to see that played out in an actual game. The next trick that we want to try and take a look at is one that I think many B players could find quite useful. The scenario here is one in which you are making the very familiar jump to spot into the B apartments. And the problem with this jump is that well, even if you do it at a sort of regular interval, you know, you say every other second, I'm going to make that jump, I'm going to keep doing it the whole round. There still makes a big difference if you spot them just as they've come around the corner, or if, you know, the 1 second when you're not looking, they're already in the hallway and running down. That's going to make a pretty big difference for your chances. And most people, oddly enough, I found, even at a professional level, I can tell, don't really have a plan, you know. They make the jump, they spot someone, and only then do they make a decision as to what they want to do. And that very often results in people trying to put up maybe a Molotov, which doesn't always stop their incoming terrorist team, or they fall back to bench, or they just sort of linger around the truck and hope that they can make it work. And very often it doesn't really work out, and you can almost tell that people sort of fall into a panic, especially if the T's have made it far down the hallway. So I want to try and come up with a way to deal with that. I think the best solution actually involves running back to this wall that's right by the bomb site. Not sure what people call it exactly. I think Weber tried to call it torpedo at one point. I'm not sure why, but yeah, so this wall anyway, whatever it's called, I think it's a really good solution, but then once you get there, you still have to figure out what to do next. So here's my attempt to try and get you out of this situation. You make the jump, you see that the terrorists are coming, you fall back, and as you get to the shadow part of this wall, you aim up, and there's a decal like that, and you just throw the grenade out, and it should be relatively simple. Now, in the perfect version of this flashbang, and you can practice as much as you want, it's gonna bounce on the roof of the bomb site itself, and then sort of just pop mid-air. But even if it doesn't, even if it goes over the roof and lands inside the bomb site, it's still a pretty good flashbang, but you should definitely try and aim to have it be the sort of the best version of it. And that involves just, you know, trying it out for a bit, testing it a couple of times, and you'll get the hang of it pretty well. Here's where the fun begins, though. That flashbang, if it's thrown perfectly, really almost cannot be seen from the plateau itself. Even from inside the B hallways, people are still going to get flashed if they're looking out the window somehow. If they are already fallen down, they're still going to get flashed and they can't see it coming either. If they're wrapping around towards bench, still going to get flashed from this position. And if they are coming in from short instead, and they sort of already wrapped around towards towards that corner at the B side, they are still going to get flashed here. So it's a really, really wide flashbang that can't really be seen from very many angles at all. If they're standing out in short and looking in, then yes, they can see it coming out, and that's not really going to do anything. Now, that's the sort of running version of it. There's another version in which you're just standing perfectly still, because again, let's say you don't get the sense that they're going to try and chase after you and rush you down, so you just fall back there, and, you know, intuition tells you, oh, it's about time. Now, I would like for you to stand a bit to the left if you're looking towards the hallways. You turn around, and then you aim at this point of the wall, and, you know, again, a bit to your left here, and the grenade's going to bounce up. It's a jump throw script that I'm using here, so much easier to get the perfect version of it. And again, that's going to be very hard to spot from almost any angle, and especially if they're down on the site. Once you're there, you know, you put the flash out, you can go and take a peek and see if you can get any kills while your teammates are trying to rescue you. So that's the idea, and I think this is actually a very interesting grenade that I look forward to being used. I think this could even be used at competitive level, so we'll find out for sure. I look forward to it. Now, for my final trick, I did say that I had found a way to break Mirage, and this is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the real deal. So, for sure, at least one person will mentally never recover from this being used. I'll show you how it works. You go into the kitchen in the B hallways. It's confusing. There are two kitchens. I guess that's why some people call it the market. But regardless, you go into the kitchen and B hallways. You jump up on the microwave. Don't crouch. Just stay standing. It's easier. And then you aim at the edge of the pot and shoot at it. And this is where the fun begins. So some of the time you're going to hit it perfectly so that the pot does exactly what you want. Sometimes it needs a bit of convincing. So just bear with me on this one. If it does it perfectly, then you just commence the rest of the plan. If it doesn't, then you've got to tap it a couple of times with your Glock until you get the good angle. Now, once you have the angle, you just wait. Because as you can tell, this pot is going to keep rolling. It never stops. It just keeps going. And don't worry about the physics of this. It really works. Once it's rolled out into the hallway, you can imagine anyone holding on the other side, they're going to be terrified, absolutely mortified of what they're witnessing, just the distraction of this ridiculous pot rolling around on the floor. Some of the time it even rolls back the other way, but the idea is as soon as it's rolling into the hallway for just, you know, a couple of feet, you take the peek behind it, and they're obviously going to be distracted, and that's it. You kill someone using a pot or whatever it is as a distraction. There's no way you can recover from that. That's the idea. Do that, and I swear you will be a hero on social media for all eternity. So definitely go and do that. That was it for this episode of Theorycraft. Again, we're trying to make them more regular so that you guys have more fun stuff to watch. I'll try and keep it up. It's a bit easier now that I am not attending quite so many events, which is also good news in general. So I'll try and keep up the pace and try and come up with more stuff. We, again, very much appreciate if you guys email us, contact@roomonfire.tv, and send us some clips of this stuff working. You know, if you make it work in a matchmaking game, just send us the demo with, you know, the tick number or whatever, like where it actually worked out, and we'll cut it out ourselves. If you're really dedicated, then, you know, send us a YouTube video of it working, and we'll put it in there and have a good time looking at it, and I'll throw some comments in on top. So let's test it out. I would love to see it, and thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends and all the rest of it, and have a good time trying all the tricks out.